Hey guys, Shane here at CrossFit HF, helping you go further, faster in fitness. And today I wanted to talk to you guys about a little story I was talking to a friend about just the other day. Now, this friend had a tough training session. She had sort of found it more difficult than usual to push herself through the session, found it more difficult to motivate than she normally would. And I remember sharing a story with her that I hope helped a little bit. And I thought maybe I should share that with all of you. And hopefully somebody else out there will get a little bit of value as well. Now, this story revolves around when I would have been around 20, maybe a little bit younger. And at that point in my life, I remember thinking that I should have been in pretty much top physical condition. I mean, an 18-year-old to 20-year-old man, pushing myself in the gym, being a personal trainer, having the knowledge that I had, I thought that I should have been in absolute my best peak, my best form, or close to it. Unfortunately, I didn't have that. I felt small. I felt weak. I felt unfit. I had absolute doubt in my ability as a trainer, my ability as a human. Like, I just didn't feel like I was where I should be. And then it sort of dawned on me that if I wanted to feel a different way, then I had to change what I was doing. So the story, so you guys understand, that I shared with my friend was about a day that I went to the gym. I was working there. I'd worked all morning and it was time for me to do my own session. I'd trained about 3 or 4 clients probably beforehand, and it was time for me to do my workout. I remember seeing another guy in the gym area who was kind of like a bit of a role model for me, but he didn't know it. I used to watch him train and he used to inspire me. He was probably about my age. We'd never spoke. I just watched from a distance. That sounds creepy, but I used to just watch him train. I think, man, it would be really good to have all of what he's got. Physically, he trained hard. He looked good. He was quite lean. He seemed to have everything sorted out. And I remember watching him, and he used to motivate me. But it also was a bit of a demotivation. And I'll tell you why. I went into the gym this day, and I went to train, and he was there. And like I said, we never spoke, but in my mind, he was a bit of a source of motivation. And from that session, I went into it, and I sort of copied his session. I looked at what he was doing, and then I was maybe 3 or 4 sets behind. I kind of did what he did, and it was bicep curls. And he was doing bicep curls with like 22s or 20 kilo dumbbells. And I remember walking over to the mirror. I was in a little white Bond singlet back in the day before, this is over 10 years ago. This is like 13 years ago almost. Before like training gear was easy to get and it looked good. Now it's all the rage. You can get 15 different brands of training singlets, but back in the day, like a Bond singlet was pretty much all we trained in. And anyway, and I remember walking up to the mirror, grabbing my 7.5 kilo dumbbells and starting to do hammer curls. And I stopped after about 8 reps. I felt exhausted. I felt defeated. My psychology in that set was, why bother? You look tiny. You look like you don't know what you're doing. You're never going to get anywhere. And you may as well just give up. And I remember feeling absolutely emotional. I remember feeling so sad within myself that I was almost useless, that I started to like cry a little bit. And that's hard to admit, like a strong 20-year-old male in the middle of the gym doing bicep curls, like literally shedding a tear. And I remember thinking, do you even really want this life? Do you even really want to be strong? Do you even really want muscle? Or do you just want to give up and do what you've always done? Anyway, I put the dumbbells down. I was pretty upset. So I put the dumbbells down. I literally left the gym. I went and got my bag, and I went down to the car, and I sat down. I looked in the mirror, and I got even more emotional. I was really upset. I'm like, this is really hard. This is the hardest thing I think I've ever had to do was to try and put muscle on. I was trying to do that. That was my goal. That was what I wanted. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't even do the 3 sets of 12 that I'd planned before I emotionally gave up and physically gave up. Anyway, I sat in the car for about 15 minutes and I looked at myself in the revision mirror and I said to myself, and I gave myself a little speech, a little pep talk. And I said, Shane, if you want change, sitting in the car crying about it isn't going to get you what you want. Giving up and walking out of the gym and being sad and putting a half-assed effort in isn't going to get you what you want. You need to go back in there and do your 7.5 kilo dumbbells for 3 sets of 12 until that becomes easy. And then when that becomes easy, you need to make the stimulus harder and you need to do 3 sets of 15 kilo dumbbells until that becomes easy. And then the change will eventually show itself. But sitting in the car crying about it isn't going to get you anywhere. And so what I did then is I jumped back out of the car. I went back upstairs and I did the workout. And through the entire workout, I was still bummed. I was still depressed. I was still pissed off. I was still frustrated, but I got the work done. Fast forward, 12 years, where I am now, 13 years. At 33, I still don't feel like I'm the size I wanted to be. I don't feel like I look the way I wanted to be, but I am happy. I'm happy with how I look. I'm happy with my fitness, and I'm happy that I never gave up. And I'm proud that I overcame those years upon years of challenge. So I guess my message to my friend when we were chatting was that even though you might not feel like you're making any progress in the actual moment, know that the discipline required for you to get through this session, the discipline that you are using to motivate you and to move you forward, is all beneficial for later on. At some point, you will look back and think, man, I'm so glad I never gave up. I'm so glad I didn't give in. I'm so glad that I found a way around that moment, that stress, that pressure. So yeah, I hope that this story motivates someone out there. And I know a lot of my clients, come and train for weight loss, but it's the same emotions. It's the same feelings. Just because I wasn't overweight or just because I didn't have a lot of weight to lose at the time and I was, considered skinny, doesn't mean I didn't feel the same way someone that might be overweight feels when they train. I mean, the emotion is still the emotion. I still felt sad. I still felt defeated. I still felt overwhelmed. I was still afraid. I was still scared. All those things were still a part of my psychology, and I still had to overcome them. And although I don't feel satisfied, a decade later, I am at least happy that I never gave up, and I'm happy that I am where I am. And I just wanted to use today's, 15 minutes to hopefully motivate somebody out there and let them know that as long as you never give up, you will get further ahead. You will move the needle in the direction that you wish to travel in, as long as you're not giving up. So, hopefully that helped. And I'm sure that there's someone out there thinking, oh yeah, well, easy for you. You're a personal trainer. I work 9 to 5 at an office and then I've got to find that it all is what it is. And yes, I might luckily work in a gym and own a facility, but at the same time, I still got to find the energy. I've still got to find the motivation. I've still got to get out there and change my gym gear over and start training. I just don't have to travel to a gym. That's the only luxury that I've got. But everything else is the same. And I just wanted to remind anybody out there that's listening and watching that you have the ability to do it. You have everything you need. You just need to change the story sometimes. And back then when I was 18, I had to change the story. The story was pity. It was a pity party. It was, oh, why me? Why is it so hard? Why is it so challenging for me? Why can't I get anywhere? That I had to change that story and say, you need to get back in the gym. You need to keep going. So until next time, guys, keep lifting, keep training, keep eating healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.